We are thrilled to have Avgousta Theodoulou joining us today from Paris. Hello, Avgousta, and thank you for joining.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yes.
And I'm very happy that I have the chance to talk with you again since 2019.
We're so happy to have you online with us. We've known Avgousta for quite some time already. She first participated in our fashion show in 2016. Actually, she wasn't there in person, but she sent wonderful designs, and so they were on the runway. And then in 2019, she actually visited Washington, D.C. and was participating in the fashion show. And so now let me share this little throwback to the fashion show 2019. Voila. Without further ado, I'm handing it over to Avgousta and Sarah, please.
Hello, everybody from sunny Paris, actually, but a little bit fresh for me. I didn't really remember to take a very, very, very warm pullover, so I was a little bit surprised when I arrived yesterday morning. I'm so happy we have Avgousta back. I was thrilled when she accepted back in 2019 the invitation to come in person, because I really had loved the 3 design I chose from the IFA back in 2016 to showcase at our second edition. So I'm so glad we can have her today. So Avgousta, I have a question for you, which will surprise some of you in the public who don't know about your background, but here in the States, it doesn't surprise anyone because people reinvent their life all the time. So you studied computer science in Greece, and later you moved to Paris and you got your degree in fashion design and technology from the IFA, the International Fashion Academy in Paris. So what made you change your career and turn to fashion?
As you have already mentioned earlier, I was always seeking ways to express myself, experimenting with different techniques such as crochet, macrame, and crafting. What fascinated me in fashion wasn't the lights and the glamour side of it. I was really not, I wasn't into that. I was mainly enjoying watching catwalks, the mesmerizing garments and their details. But at that moment, I becoming a fashion designer seemed utopic. So I concentrated on my studies and later on my work as a computer science teacher. And I kept creating things as a hobby or as a side work. But when my husband finished his PhD and announced me that they had offered him a post as a researcher in Paris, and that we have to move to Paris. To tell you the truth, the first few hours, my whole work was collapsed because at that moment I loved my work. I enjoyed the connection with my students, so I have never thought of quitting my job. But after a few hours, when I saw it more clearly, and since Paris is one of the most famous fashion centers in the world, I saw it as a call to follow my creative passion and to learn more about fashion. So I searched a little bit about fashion schools in Paris. I arranged an interview, and I announced later to my family that, okay, if I go to Paris, I will start again. I will make the wild turn and study fashion at the age of 30. So that's the story behind.
It's a great story, actually. I love the fact that you had the courage to actually start again, like you said, at the age of 30. Well, tell us more about your brand. What you say that your goal as a designer is to emphasize the traces of the hand over its creation. Can you tell us more about your creative process?
So one by one, about my brand. The aim of my brand is to create high quality garments and accessories by using mainly natural and organic fabrics. My brand stands by the principles of slow fashion, which cares about the human involvement into the process, cares about environment, about quality and creativity. And about the phrase that I have used, emphasizing the traces of hand over my creations, I must say that this phrase has a literal and a metaphorical meaning. Literal because actually in my first two collections I have used handmade techniques, macrame. I took the luxury silk fabric, I sheared it, and I rebuilt it in order to emphasize the handmaking process. So this is the literal meaning. And the metaphorical meaning is that we need to be aware about who created our garments, how long it took to be made, which kind of materials have been used, and in other words, appreciating more the process and care about the garment, not throw it away or changing all the time. And for that, we, the designers, we need to be more transparent in order the consumers to be aware of all these things. And you have asked me about my creative process. I'm always driven by emotions, which are generated by almost everything. It can be even a conversation with friends. It can be a song. It can be the architecture of a building. And after all these emotions are generated, then I have the need to express myself. So I experiment with some techniques. I try to find new textures. I create some small samples and I place them on my mannequin while I do draping. And I sit down and I try to imagine by watching all these shapes on my mannequin. And I usually draw on my computer. I do the sketches on my computer using Photoshop and Illustrator. And searching about materials, which is the longest step, I think, in my process to find the right fabrics, and creating my mood. And the final step, of course, is how after I do my prototypes and all this, I have to present my work. And in order to present my work, I can use either a simple photo shooting or even a fashion show if I have the time and the resources to do it.
Thank you, Avgousta, for mentioning fashion show, because I am spying all the way from Paris, where I am now, not only you who got a standing ovation at the fashion show, but also somebody else whose designs were actually also applauded a lot at the fashion show. And I can see Isabel dos Santos is here, who was also one of the designers in 2019. So thank you, Isabel, for joining the conversation. From Washington, DC, I suppose. So the fashion show we've had at the Alliance Française came as a kind of a thought, you know, of trying to bring young and upcoming designers to DC and try to show a different kind of fashion. But that is me as an executive director thinking what a fashion show could do, but what does a fashion show mean to you as a designer?
Fashion show is where we should be able to see that fashion is not only about garments. It's about the concept, it's about an attitude, it's about art, music, and also a statement which has to consider the political and the social changes that are happening in our lives. So fashion show for me is all that. It's not just the garment. And above all, it gives us the power to escape for a while and dream. And that's the magic of it. So the most important is to make statements and to.
Yeah, I think you did make a statement, because I remember that the whole thing of the collection of the different pieces that you showed, the music, the video in the background, that was you know, it was a whole show inside the fashion show, so to say. That was interesting.
I chose the music that it wasn't similar to the music that we usually listen to fashion shows. It yes, it spoke a little bit and tried to make you dream for a while and understand some things. I don't know if you remember. I don't remember exactly the words of this song, but I should see it carefully.
Yes.
Yes.
So as a IT person, I mean, you did study computer science, right? So how does IT play a role in your creative process?
Actually, right now, for the moment, I am just using it, as I said, in order to create my. Before that moment, actually, I was just using it for sketching. But in the future, I would like to involve it more. And I like, in general, to mix contradictory elements. And mixing my handmade techniques with technology is one of my future goals. Nevertheless, I believe that the best marriage of these two can happen only after someone realizes the huge potential he has in his two hands. For the moment, we have started a collaboration with a Greek startup to present my work using photorealistic 3D models. We have started using them on my online shop, offering to the visitors a 3D experience and letting them explore better our products. So I am inviting you to visit my website and check this out. And of course, this is a starting point. In the future, we would like to use more advanced technologies such as virtual reality and augmented reality.
Wow, I mean, you know, your design really stand out, and just watching that 3D live preview of one of your scarf, you can almost, you know, you can have a feel of the texture and of the cloth used because of the way it's presented. You know, I could touch it almost, like I could feel it actually. So it's absolutely, yeah. Somebody said incredible use of 3D. I totally agree. And that reminds me of an exhibition at the Met a few years, the Fashion Institute at the Met a few years ago. It was Manus ex machina. It was the mix of old fashion, you know, handmade together with 3D printing and other technology into fashion. So you're leading the way there too. So what makes your design stand out is truly your amazing creativity, from clothes to bags to jewelry. And in my opinion, you are opening the fashion to the future. So my questions with that would be, are mainstream designers killing fashion by sticking to convention, or are consumers responsible for the eternal return of the same designs?
First of all, thank you for your flattering words. Then to answer your question, I have to say many things. I believe that the conventional and the creative approach are both necessary and they need to coexist. The problem starts when the conventional brands compete each other only in terms of their prices, as their designers are more or less the same. And in order to reduce their prices, they create larger quantities and they choose cheaper materials, so synthetic most of the time, all the time actually, the last few decades. And this leads to overproduction and to overconsumption. And this kills the environment and the fashion itself in the long run. Also, manufacturers are either deny to accept creative process from creative designers because the creative designers ask for limited quantities. So this is not very profitable for them. And also they need a lot of time in order to find solutions because this is something new. Or either they deny or they charge a lot more, and this leads to enormous prices for creative designers. And this kills creativity because in the end, the creative designers has to compromise or change their ways completely. So I cannot say that consumers are responsible for that, but I can say that it starts and ends at the consumers. Who need to be more conscious about what's happening behind the scenes, what I have mentioned earlier, and what they are seeking at the end. So for me, this is how I see it.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say is the most difficult thing about running a self-labeled fashion brand in Paris? What are the main things that guide you? Because you said in introduction, you came to Paris, which was the city of fashion. So what is the most difficult thing about running a self-labeled fashion brand in Paris?
So fashion is a very competitive field, especially in Paris, and people share information not very easy. And one of the biggest difficulties is that when you start, you don't have the size to convince the making industry and the market itself. When I say making industry, I mean the artisans, the producers of materials, and a lot more. And it takes some time to convince them to invest time into your work. So I think those are the difficulties. And what guides me, of course, it's the satisfaction I get from creating things. It's from what I have managed to achieve so far, but also from the positive energy I receive from people who like and support my work. Often we hear some comments such as, if you're not rich, if you don't follow fashion rules, if you don't have connections, you will never going to make it in this field. And that's exactly my biggest motivation, to prove that there is another way.
That's good. You're a warrior of fashion, actually. Bravo. Somebody says, bravo, Avgousta. We are proud of you. Yes, we are indeed. we are indeed. We like it when you take up a challenge like that. I think, Natasha, you have a small video for us now. really love that video because it's for me it's more than fashion. It's almost like if you're printing, but not, you know, just printing textile. It's like you're printing the story of your own brand, you know. There's so much symbols in that. And so you recently launched this new line of scarves we just saw in the video, and they are absolutely gorgeous. How did you come up with the idea about your logo and what we can see, which is featured on your scarves?
Yeah, I will take some time to explain how I made my logo. So I made my logo myself, not other graphics designer. When I was about to participate in a Greek contest with my graduation collection, which was inspired by a Greek ancient myth called Daedalus and Icarus, I was asked to present my logo. So at that moment, I had to make it. And I didn't have much time. I only have a few days. So I put my Greek initials, alpha, theta, in a winged arrangement, as it is inspired from this specific collection. And I asked some close friends at that time, what do you think about this logo? Do you like it? And they told me, it's good, but maybe it's very complicated. It's complex for a logo. So it was the moment that I realized that, okay, this is a logo. This describes me perfectly. So I kept that logo. Since then, I didn't change it. And later, what made me happy was that people were telling me that my logo reminds them my garments, and that my garments remind my logo. Someone even told me that he had the impression that if he zooms enough into my garment, he will find my logo. So I really like this metaphor. And it was then that I decided to make something else with it, to play with it. So I made this series of scarves. And I'm using only my logo as a single building element to create even more complex design, kaleidoscopic designs, I would say.
Yeah, it does look like something we look through a kaleidoscope. Actually, it's true. And it's intriguing. You know, it's just not just a logo. It's intriguing. It's telling a story, because kaleidoscopes, they always change when you look through a kaleidoscope. So it's like an ongoing story being told.
This series of scarves started with a small number of designs and will grow incrementally over time, following the same concept. And with this approach, I feel like I try to bridge my creations through time in order to give them more timeless value and collectible value as well.
And so you did choose Greece, and more precisely Soufli, to produce your scarf. So why did you choose Greece and Soufli in particular?
Soufli, because it has a long tradition of producing and processing silk. So actually the fabric is made in Soufli and printed as well. And my general goal is to develop collaborations with artisans and manufacturers who have long know-how tradition in specific fields, mainly in Greece, Cyprus, and France, the three countries which played a huge role in my life.
That's nice.
In the same way, I started also another collaboration with artisans in Ioannina in Greece to produce my silver earrings. Ioannina has a long tradition in silversmithing, and it was the city that where I was studying, and I was living for 12 years in Ioannina. So it makes me happy, this collaboration as well.
this is very important what you say, because of going to the source of where, you know, the silversmithing is done, or the silk or the printing is done, because oftentimes I reflect on the fact that as time goes by, there may be skills that will get lost. So you as a computer science person turn into fashion designer, you are bringing the best of both worlds, the tradition and the modernity. So it's really nice. And so you also launched a line of bags that really was noticed at the fashion show back in 2019. And I actually have one here that I will show, so you can all see the bag by Avgousta. And what I must say is I took it because Avgousta kindly sent it to me to the United States. And I decided to take it with me to Paris. So it's almost like going back to Europe after a brief stay in the US. And so I was on the plane with it 2 days ago on Thursday. And then this morning I went and I spent most of the day in the Jardin du Luxembourg, the Luxembourg Gardens, sitting on a chair and reading and really taking in the sun. That's because they announced rain for next week. And two persons, one today in the Luxembourg Gardens and one on the plane, ask me, oh, where did you get that bag? And this comes also back like to the question I asked before, you know, conventional design, mainstream designers, because nobody is going to ask me where did I buy so and so other, you know, designer's bag, but your bag, you know, already got two questions in 48 hours that I've been traveling, you know. So what is the inspiration behind your bags? Oh, I gave them, by the way, want to say something, is I gave them your website.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I designed and made a variation of this bag back in 2014 when I was still a second year fashion student. And it's inspired by Cypriot tradition from vraga and from burka. Vraga is a men's traditional pants, and burka is a traditional bag that it was used by shepherds. I'm saying the word correctly. And I received a very positive comments, as you have said, from my school. And I was wearing it since then. And I was receiving people's reaction, flattering reactions in coffee shops, restaurants, airports, as you said. And so recently I decided to go further, to find some artisans in Paris and produce it as a product. The bag has evolved, and will continue evolving. And I named it Reform Bag for many reasons, due to its functionality and appearance. Because as you realize when you're holding it, it starts reforming. When you place it on a table, it reforms, but also due to its functionality. Because yes, no. First of all, I will describe a little bit. It has a futuristic and architectural shape, and combines two discrete elements: the core, which is supple, and the broad strap, which is more durable. And the way that the durable broad strap goes around the core creates this structure and the round shape. Yes, and
So
in
the soft and the durable, yes?
I guess.
Yeah, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Thank you, Natasha.
It is. I mean, I was not surprised at all, you know, when I was at Dulles at the airport about to board, that somebody asked me where I get the bag, because in the US, people will ask you, oh, where I love your hair. Where do you get it? You know, where do you go? Or like, I love your dress or your shoes or your bag. So it's quite usual for us in the US to get asked a question, you know, because people are interested. They want to know. They want to acquire it. You know, if they can get the same thing, you know, and they will look like you, etc. But in Paris, it's more surprising because people in the street, they don't ask you. And had it been, you know, a foreign tourist, I would maybe not have been surprised, but it was a French person who was asking me, oh, vous avez trouvé où, vous avez acheté où ce sac? And I was so surprised. I really didn't expect it. So I gave, as I said, I gave your website twice. I was very proud of myself doing some promotion there. So, but it is often said, actually, going back to the bag, that you can tell a woman by a handbag. So what is your handbag telling about the woman who fall for them?
I would try to imagine a woman wearing it in order to answer this question. If I see a woman holding this bag, I will think that she wants to feel rock, yet sophisticated, that she doesn't compromise with the conventional bags, and she dares to wear something unique and futuristic. And for me, that woman have chosen this bag because she saw something that suits her style. But by wearing it, I think that she can also discover an unexplored side of herself. I'm saying that because my bag and most of my creations are combined a lot of different elements. So we can say that it's a drama of styles, and someone might choose it because he likes futuristic things, but he can feel rock, he can feel classic, he can feel many things by wearing it because it combines those styles. That's how I see it, but I would love to hear, how did you felt wearing it in the park?
Yes, that's a very, it's nice to stream back the question, actually, Avgousta. So when I saw your bag for the first time, it was at the you know, the fashion show in 2019. I kind of like immediately knew that people would actually jump on your bag like you know, bees on a honeypot. You know, they would just fixate with the bags. And sure enough, they came to me afterwards, the fashion show, asking like, can I ask? And I said, you have to talk with Avgousta. I know about the bags, not with me. And I knew myself that this is exactly the kind of bag I love, because when you're a woman, and I will make it, I will bring in Elton John into the conversation here. I have been, as you can see, wearing glasses. I'm wearing glasses, okay? And so when you're a little girl in France in particular, where a woman, you know, if she wears glasses or if she's a little bit chubby, you know, she's not conforming to the French idea of what a French woman would look like. Right? And, yeah, so, and then so the, when I was a little girl, and when the doctor told me, I was about the age of 6, you know, I had to wear glasses, it was like the end of the world for me. And so fast forward when I'm a teenager and I'm listening to Elton John in a concert, and then there was an interview afterwards. And of course, Elton John had those huge glasses, you know, with all kind of fantastic designs. And the interviewer asked him, so why are you wearing those funky glasses? And he said, well, when I was a little boy and everybody was laughing at me, and I thought, oh yeah, Elton John too. And he said, and he replied, I decided that if I had to see, I needed to be seen. And that is why I decided, you know, this is my motto. If I have to see, then I need to be seen. And so now, because of that thing about glasses, I made it a point that as a woman in particular, not just as a human being, but as a woman in particular, and in particular in France, you know, you needed to stand out amongst everything, you know, everyone else looking the same. And so from my 20s or something like that, I really always, when I chose a fashion for myself, I decided it was not going to be what everybody else was wearing. It was going to be what I thought was myself, was reflecting myself. And so when I saw your bag, I think like, yes, this is the bag. like me, you know.
I was looking for so many gifts.
You know, women, we always have, you know, like they always talk about Imelda Marcos with a number of shoes and number of bags, etc., etc. you know, and people, they you know, they buy bags, but you know, you never feel comfortable. But this, yes, I knew when I saw it, I said, like, yes, this is the bag I want, you know. So I fell for your bag, because of that. I know, because it made a statement. Your bag, when I wear it, when I carry it around, I'm making a statement. I'm making a statement as a woman, as a human being also, because I'm making a statement as a human being saying, I am proud of what I'm carrying, because it's, you know, it's an object of art. It's an object that reflects the creativity of the designer, but it's also encouraging, because I want to make sure, if I was, as we say in the US, if I was really, really wealthy, I would be investing money in people like you to try to make them even better known, you know, as designers. So the little I can do is carry the bag around and get asked the question, where did you get that bag? You know, because I wanted to stand out and to show that there is creativity beyond, you know, the conventional designs.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Avgousta. I think it's time for the Q&A. So you are welcome to enter your questions in chat. And so I actually have a question, Avgousta, if you don't mind, and I'm going to share my screen with one of your designs. So how much time on average does it take to make a design like that? Quick do you put in it?
You're referring the first one or the second one, the white or the black?
Oh, I don't know. I guess in general, or if it's very different, you can talk about both of them.
Yeah, it depends on the design, actually. I mean, for the dress that we can see on the left, I'm not considering the time of think the design or draw it. I'm only saying how much time is to be made. Well, this skirt, the white skirt, had to be cut in many pieces so that I can finally stitch all these pieces together and give me the possibility to start shearing the fabric and making macrame to fix the top part. So it takes time. I don't remember exactly how much time, but imagine cutting, like, it's not like cutting all the big part of the skirt. It's like cutting it very small pieces, one by one. Well, of course, we make some tricks. We fold the fabric to cut maybe more than one, but it takes a lot of time. Maybe if you work without stopping, can take 4 days. Yes, maybe more.
Wow. No, I'm sure with the whole design process, when you start thinking about it and sketching it and actually making it, that's a lot of work. Yes, it's
the right silhouette, the black one, less, because it doesn't have all these handmade techniques inside. It's just a circle skirt, circle pant. Actually, it was this one. Okay, the bustier. Okay, it takes less time. So it depends the design, and that's why we have to appreciate it, because sometimes we see enormous prices and we can't we said, oh, she charged very high, it's very high prices, but we have to consider the work behind, and sometimes the designer doesn't even want to sell that, because for me, when I made my jacket, I mean, it's the one that is shown here, this jacket, for example, which needs a lot of time and made with a luxury silk fabric. I didn't make it in order to sell it. I mean, I would love to see it walking in a carpet, but it's not something that I wanted to sell. It was to make the statement that I said on my runway, to make the statement of emphasizing the traces of the hand on the creation, as I explained it earlier. So it if you try to sell this coat, for example, it will have a very high price.
I have a question here. I was asked directly to me by Elizabeth. So is it difficult to obtain natural fabrics in large quantities for the various fashion items?
First of all, my aim is never to go to this direction and never do mass quantities. But it's difficult to find it, even small quantities, to find a natural fabric that actually stands out. It's very difficult. Most of the industry is full of synthetics. So it takes a lot of time to find the right fabric to even do my prototypes and my limited collection, my limited production.
We have another question here from Lourdes. So first of all, as she says, Avgousta, your words and designs are poetry and very beautiful. And so the question, please tell us about the code, which I believe is close to you at the moment, right? The one on your, right? It was one of the pieces in 2019 show at the embassy. And I think I remember it as well. What is your vision for accessories to be added to your collection? And another question, please share more as possible about researching materials for your designs.
Yes, as I have said earlier, I already started a collaboration with silver jewelry, but of course, I would like to use all these techniques to make my accessories, which can be belt, bags, and I think it's on the way to come soon. And the second question, the process of searching materials, is to go to Premiere Vision. I go there, for example, and I visit a lot of booths to see their materials, touch them, ask for some samples, and then I categorize them in order to have them in my mind when it comes to a project that needs the specific item. And sometimes, as I said earlier to another question, even if you like a lot the material, if you want to produce only 20 pieces of that bag, and when you contact the company, it's asking you to buy minimum thousands of pieces, maybe 3,000 pieces, then of course I cannot take it, and I have to search another solution. So there are some difficulties in searching materials for brands that are interested in making only limited quantities. So far, I have collaborations with many companies that produce materials that they are willing to help new and independent designers by offering smaller quantities, and that means that something is changing. It started changing.
Do you also source your materials from Greece?
Sometimes, yes. For example, I have recently started a collaboration with actually, it's not a collaboration. I create a small group, women so far, only women, that who we will produce limited quantities of some of ready-to-wear pieces, such as coat and pant. And this, I'm willing to make them in Greece. So while I'm working with those women in Greece, of course, we are looking for some materials there. But most of the times we are looking in Paris and Greece, in Europe. I stay always in Europe. I prefer to stay in Europe.
Yeah.
way.
We have another great question actually from Marina. I have noticed that most of your creations are in soft color tones, off-white, gray, black, not vivid reds or something like that. Is it only a personal choice, or does it have to do with working with natural fabrics?
Some of the times it's because I'm working with natural fabrics. And for example, now I'm making a coat. I will launch it soon. I think in the beginning of next month. A coat that's more ready to wear and is easy to wear. It's not very heavy. You can wear it everywhere and all the time. And for this coat, I choose a fabric that is made here in France from French ships.
Mm.
So it's very organic, and this fabric, for example, they don't use colors in it. So of course, because I like the quality, the quality, I said, okay, I will rather use only this because I wanted to make it in black, to tell you the truth. My favorite color is black and gray, but I like also the natural colors, which has a message that we don't use colors, and that it's natural and organic.
Please send us the link when the coat is ready. I really want to see it. Thank you.
I want to see it too.
Does anyone, I think we're running out of time, and just maybe this last question from Xenia. Which part of the process of creating a garment is your personal favorite?
I think that all the parts are interesting. But of course, experimenting with techniques, it's my favorite, I could say. I always like to seek for new techniques. You know, when I used a lot one technique, I want to go to the other and mix it with the previous one. And
thank you.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Avgousta, for spending some time with us. Thank you, Sarah, for leading this conversation. And thank you to everyone for joining us.